Unskilled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unskilled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, the Full Metal Traveler. You can check us out, fullmetaltraveler.com, for all of our past episodes, guest interviews, and the sort. This episode, we're talking all about Italy, or at least some day trips, some fun day trips that you yourself can take from the beautiful city of Rome. Why would you ever leave Rome? Well, there is more to explore, and we're going to give you some places from our personal experience. We recently visited a beautiful country, and we decided to rent a car. And we'll tell you the pros and cons to that. My co-host and fellow traveler, as always, my beautiful wife, Amy Long.
Hello.
Yeah, we have pros and cons. We're going to give you those of renting a car in Italy, the insanity that is driving in Italy, and most importantly, some wonderful day trips you and your group, or you, if you're traveling by yourself, you can take, whether driving a car or if you figure out and navigate the train system there in Italy. It makes it all worthwhile. So let's get started. We were in Italy. We were having some fun, all kinds of stuff in Rome. Mm-hmm. And we could get to that, but we'll leave that for a different episode. We decided we moved from the center, near the city center, to a hotel on the outskirts of town.
Right, and it didn't seem that far. It said the hotel was only like 20 miles from the center of the city. But once you get out of that city center, it's so far.
Desolate?
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot out there. There were neighborhoods. We did come across a mall that happened to be near our hotel, but there were not a lot of shopping areas, a lot of restaurants that we could find. So if you're going to move out of the city center of Rome, just be aware you're probably not going to have a lot of things close to you.
And we don't think of it that much because where we live in Las Vegas, 20 miles is to the other side of town.
Right.
And even though it takes a little bit, you're still in town and you can still get to the strip and everything. Right. But Rome you're kind of cut off.
Yeah.
Whenever you want to go into town, taxi drivers kind of look at you funny. They're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And if you're in town and you want to go that 20 miles out, we did have somebody who said he did not want to take us. So
yeah.
We had to get out of his taxi and get into another one.
We straight up got kicked out of a taxi.
And that was when we decided to rent a car.
We decided to rent a car. Now, you rent a car for freedom of movement, right? You can pick and choose where you go. Mm-hmm. And that's what we kind of wanted because we've rented cars in Portugal and Mexico. We decided against it for Japan. Very happy we did that.
Me too.
But we decided in Italy because, why not? You want the freedom. You want the freedom to kind of move around. And we didn't want to hop on and hop off trains and be subject to train schedules,
bus schedules, things like that.
And you never know. You always have to be prepared for work stoppages.
Yeah.
Train stoppages, anything like that. It happens all the time. I think it's happening right now in Spain.
Yeah.
That's kind of the reason why we did what we did. The first trip we took, we decided very late at night. I just was looking at the map and I was like, it's only about an hour and a half away is Tivoli. The beautiful romanticized village of Tivoli, especially here, like in Las Vegas, there's a lot of things called Tivoli.
Yeah, there are.
So it's one of these places that has been featured in so many movies, so many shows, and you read about it all the time. So I was like, let's go. Man.
Right.
For the most part, my overview is it's a very lovely little town, and it sits on a hill, and it overlooks this valley. But man, did we have an interesting time driving around there.
We did. I mean, even just driving outside of Rome, when you're still technically in the city, but you're driving out. Italians just have a different driving style than a lot of other drivers do. It's kind of a free-for-all.
Think no rules NASCAR. That's kind of the driving philosophy in Italy. And it that goes for small towns and Rome and anywhere else.
The expressway, what did they call it? The GRA or the GRE, their Grand Expressway. People were just using the shoulder as a lane.
Yeah.
It did not, there was no signage that said you could use the shoulder as a lane, but.
Everyone was just using it. By the end of it, I was using the shoulder as a lane. And the only rule was, they were pretty aware of like when ambulances and stuff were coming by. People made room, even on these tight little streets, for ambulances and things like that. So they were very respectful there. Any other time, it was just a free-for-all.
Right.
If you can get in, if you can fit in, get in, and like drive and just like drive it like you stole it, which is kind of, everything. But you go to Tivoli, we go there. We thought we got there pretty decently early in the morning.
Right.
And we were wrong because by the time we got there was no parking anywhere.
No parking anywhere.
And they have several parking garages around Tivoli, which I was surprised, but there was no parking.
Yeah, when we finally got to the actual town of Tivoli, it was roughly 10:30 in the morning, and we could not find a parking spot anywhere. Not on the side of the road, not in any of the parking garages, nothing. We drove around for about 30 minutes in this town, and then we decided we're just leaving. It's not worth it. There's nowhere to park. Let's leave. So I looked on our handy little navigation, and it said, oh, there's an alternate route to Tivoli, because basically once you're on the road to Tivoli, you can't turn off. There's no turn off.
U-turns.
There's no U-turns. You were just on this road. So we take that road back out.
That was fun.
And we take this alternate route, which actually ends up being just kind of a dirt road.
I loved the confidence that you had, though, navigating me up this dirt road. Because I was like, this is not a road for us to travel on. And you were like, yeah, like you're Ponce de Leon. And
I trusted the navigation, and it said this was a road. So we drive up this dirt road, which has dirt driveways leading off of it to houses.
Barely enough room.
Barely enough
car,
room for this
which
compact,
we had a very small car.
Compact car.
People, I will tell you this. When I say that we drove outside of the city, went up this dirt road, and ended up in the exact same spot that we left, but on the other side of the parking lot, that is what I mean. We drove through a back way to the town of Tivoli and ended up in the exact same spot on the other side of
the
this
town is
lot.
not very big. There's literally 3 roads in. We came in and left in the first one, came in the second one, ended up right back at the first road.
And I was seeing colors at that point.
But I have to tell you, I loved Tivoli.
But once we parked and we got in there, where was that beautiful place that we
the Villa de Esta, I think is how you say it. It was the castle that we went to, but it's not necessarily the castle that you go to see. It's all the fountains outside of it.
Oh, yeah.
Over 100 fountains on this castle grounds.
I think 150.
Beautiful. Everywhere you look, there's a new fountain.
It was it was originally built for a cardinal that had tremendous power back in the day, and it's this beautiful, gigantic home, and it is just
it was beautiful, and it
amazing.
Was not very much to get into it, and then that part of the town is the old part of the village, which to me, when you think of an old Italian village, that's exactly what. Yeah. I pictured these tiny little alleyways and old
that I was driving down. Yes.
Yes.
Some old lady flipped me off. We also ate at this beautiful place called the Il Cavallino Rosso. I'm sure I butchered that name, but it was a beautiful restaurant that overlooked this place called the Villa Gregoriana.
The Parco Gorgiana, something.
And it overlooked that, and it has beautiful waterfalls and ruins, and so it made up for it.
It did.
We did notice there is a train system there, so you can just as easily take a train to Tivoli. That would be my advice: is if you just want to walk around and have no worries in the world, take the train.
Take the train to Tivoli. You will enjoy it, and you will not have the stress of looking for a parking place.
And I'm sure you'll see my mark somewhere. I'm sure my words and me kicking the wall still in there. When we come back, we're going to talk about more day trips from Rome that you can take. We're going to talk about Albano, Amalfi, more places. Unskilled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. It's Jeremy Long, the Full Metal Traveler, here with my co-host and fellow traveler, my beautiful wife, Amy.
Hello.
We're talking day trips, wonderful day trips you can take from Rome in Italy. If you decide, we decided to rent a car, you could easily take any of these through train. In fact, I recommend it. Go via train. Car, not so fun. You get to move around at ease, but also there's a lot of headaches involved.
And something
driving.
we found, there were a lot of toll roads.
A lot of toll roads.
We paid quite a bit in tolls for the few days that we drove around. It was a little interesting how some toll roads you just pay a flat fee. Others you get a ticket, and based on how long you're on that road, you pay a higher fee. And then some of the navigation didn't understand that there were toll roads, and we ended up going wrong directions. It was very confusing at times.
The second day, we decided to venture out with our rental car. All of these are, Tivoli is a little bit to the east of Rome, but the rest of these are to the south. If you head out there, not too far from the Rome city limits, on the outskirts anyway, is a place called Castel Gandalfo. Mm-hmm. Or, if you watch Lord of the Rings, Gandalf, right? It's Castle Gandalf. That's what I kept calling it, Castle Gandalf. And it sits on this beautiful lake, also called Lake Gandalfo as well. And right next to that is this beautiful city called Albano. So all of these places all kind of sit next to each other. There are these little communities that have kind of grown together. And we got to spend the day checking out both of these places, eating at different places. But we started in Albano.
We did. We started in Albano, and we were there in the middle of the week. And this is kind of the beginning of tourist season again. So unfortunately, a lot of things were not open, and we weren't expecting that because on their websites, they would say they were open a certain time, but we'd walk in, people would be there working, but they just weren't open yet, which we found very interesting because this started happening a lot. The doors would be open, people would be inside, but they were not serving customers yet. Yeah. So just be aware if you're traveling during an off season, this could potentially happen.
Yeah, it's an important rule whenever you're traveling. Just, you got to be fluid. You got to just be easygoing. A lot of places we did walk into and you could tell they weren't open for business, but they served us anyway. They were very nice. You just, have to be easygoing. And if they say they're closed, hey man, you just move on. There's another shop that's going to be open down.
Right.
So just, keep your cool. I know you get hungry. A lot of people get hangry. But if you just show yourself respectful and try, like the language and try to thank them and stuff, they appreciate that you're trying your very best. Because Lord knows I butcher so much Italian, but they tried. I tried, and they smiled at me. So we did we grabbed some coffee at this one place. What was that place called? It slips my mind.
We looked for the name, and the only sign out there really just said Bar Bistro. Yeah, so I don't know if that was the name or they were just advertising what they were, because it was a coffee bar and a wine bar.
Yeah. Albano has had a number of beautiful places. I mean, we got to walk around the city for just a few minutes. A couple hours maybe. I say minutes. But the church area.
Yeah, it had a lovely church that we walked down to and took some photos in a nice little square where a lot of people were sitting out there just having...
I think Piazza Giuseppe was the name of the square. And it's one of these little towns that just, you could tell, tourists go there to a certain season, but for the most part, it's just a little bitty community. People were just going about their day. Yeah. Tons of little shops. You could tell there were mom and pop shops. Yeah. That's what I really love, is that these countries, especially like Italy, you go to Rome, you see Starbucks. And I even saw a couple of McDonald's. Right. But they weren't oversaturated with it like we are here. And then you go to these smaller towns, hardly anything like that.
Yeah,
There were a couple of places I think that served Starbucks coffee, but they weren't Starbucks themselves.
Yeah, I don't recall seeing any bigger chain names in either of these smaller towns.
Yeah.
We did stop in at that little bar and have, well, it said it was a bistro also, but we had drinks and
What was that beautiful? Leonardi
yes.
Leonardi Bistro in Albano. That's Albano, by the way. I'm probably butchering that as well. But Leonardi Bistro. They were so happy to have us.
Yeah.
Especially when they found out we were American.
Yeah, I was taking pictures and the other customers in there were watching me. Obviously, they're all locals. We were the only tourists in there at the time. So all of my photos have people staring back at me like, what is this lady doing?
And the young man serving us, he was happy to practice his English.
Yeah.
He told us so. He was like, oh, so happy. And, when you have that kind of connection with people, like you're trying and they're trying, and you're making it happen, and just people are just happy that you're there, that you're going to their restaurants, and things like that. I thought it was very cool. It was we kept getting meat and cheese charcuterie boards, basically.
A lot of the bars, like that's really the only kind of food that they offer. So we ended up getting that several places,
and it's good.
It is good.
So
they
good.
all have various cheeses and meats that's kind of
olives and these different nuts and things.
Pita breads and hummuses, and we would just eat that for dinner and drink. The thing I did notice though, they did not have a lot of them did not have extensive cocktail menus. They kind of had their set, these are the 5 or 6 drinks we make, and we have a couple of bottles of wine for you to choose from, and that's it. So in these littler towns, you're not going to have this large cocktail and wine menu that you may be used to.
So moving out of Albano to right next door, basically to Castel Gandalfo, and that whole area in Lake Albano, you can tell Castel Gandalfo, in this area is a little bit more touristy. There are restaurants that are double, like 2 and 3 stories high that were set up. They had DJs. One we went to this. What was it called? The Vista Wine Bar. The service was great. The young people that were serving us were great. They just had house. It reminded me of Vegas.
It did.
They had house DJ music, man, and they were pumping, and it was.
It was loud.
It was loud. My hair was vibrating. I think we were the only people there.
We were literally the only people there, and they turned the music up for us, which was appreciated, but not necessary.
My teeth were chattering, and I wasn't cold. It was just the music. And I know I sound very old saying that.
Vista did have, speaking of wine list and cocktail list, they did have a much more extensive drink list, and we did try a few different things that we both liked, and we ended up having several drinks there, just sitting, looking out over the lake.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really tasty. It was a lot of fun. Again, you just kind of have to roll with it, especially if you're going in that weird kind of, it's the end of tourist season, but it's the beginning of a different kind of like fall, laid back touristy time in that area. Again, just be flexible when you go and try your best to be with it, right? I don't know. Was that what the kids say these days?
I have no idea. I'm too old.
I need a nap right now.
Just be flexible.
There you go. When we come back, we're going to tell you all about our drive down to the Amalfi Coast and back. And a little bit later on, Pompei. It's an Unscaled travel show.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, the Full Metal Traveler. As always, check us out at fullmetaltraveler.com for all of our past episodes, guest interviews, all of that wonderfulness. We're talking about day trips you can take from Rome. We're mostly concentrating going east to Tivoli and south. Now, we talked about going a little bit south, just a few minutes outside of Rome. Now, this is when we rented a car and we hopped on the toll road highway, the GR8, GR3, I don't know, the toll road highway. And we went about 3 to 3.5 to 4 hours to we wanted to hit the Amalfi Coast.
Yes.
We wanted to go down and venture into that area. We've seen it. We've seen it on so many shows. Recently with the Magnolia Hotel, or what's that series called?
I don't know.
Anyway, there was a series on HBO, White Lotus.
Oh,
There you go.
okay.
The White Lotus, they featured a season about Amalfi and kind of researched that whole area. So we decided to go check it out.
Yeah.
The drive down there, again, you know, you get on the highway, it's a free-for-all, but it kind of settled in once you got outside of these kind of areas. The toll road was a little confusing. We said that earlier. But the real fun started once we got to the roads that lead to Amalfi that go through the mountains.
Right. So just past Naples, you do have to drive basically around the side of Naples to get to the mountains that Amalfi is on the other side. And on the map, it's not very far. But the problem is the road is not directly through the mountain. It is, I think we lost track of how many different switchbacks you take on this tiny, at times, one-lane road through the side, or on the side of a mountain, and it takes about an hour to get to the Amalfi Coast from the city of Naples, even though on the map it's literally right there.
Yeah, you go down this little road. I mean, if you're following along on like Google Maps, I think it's called SP1. SP1 goes right through these beautiful little towns. You hit like Scaglia, Pietri, Ravello, and it kind of dumps you out. The thing about the Amalfi Coast, okay, and why I recommend taking a train or some kind of tour down there instead of your own car. We've talked about the limited amount of parking spaces. Well, imagine no parking spaces. That's basically Amalfi.
Right.
There are a couple of small parking areas, but when I say small, they might hold
40 cars.
40 cars.
Yeah.
There was a parking garage, a couple like parking areas that we passed up that maybe held another 40 to 50 cars each. But you're talking about all kinds of people dumping themselves out here along the coast because they want to all see this beautiful area.
And it was beautiful. What
But
we
there's
saw
nowhere
of
to
it.
park.
Yeah, nowhere to park. But before we get to that, on the road to Amalfi,
Oh, one of your favorite
one of my
things.
favorite
Yes.
things in the world. So
Ever.
we're driving through the mountains. We've just come over the top of the mountain, really, and we're starting to go down towards the coast. And we see something up ahead on the street. And Jeremy has to stop because it is a herd of goats and a goat herder. And they are just casually walking down the street. And let me tell you, I was so happy to
This
see these
woman
goats.
loves seeing animals in the wild, domesticated animals in the wild. One time we went up north here in Nevada, north of Las Vegas, and we saw some donkeys. I thought she lost her ever-loving mind.
They were literally everywhere on the road.
So that is nothing compared to when we see mountain goats being shepherded
They
on the
had
road.
they all had little bells
Just
around
like
their necks.
when you see in the movies, they had the little bells. It's a beautiful, like if you could go to our Instagram,
No, it's on your TikTok.
either one, at Full Metal Traveler, either our TikTok and Instagram, and you can see the video of us trying to pass these goats who are being shepherded and herded along this road. The shepherd was none too pleased. I honked the car horn at him, and not at him, at the goats, because there was also a shepherding dog
Yes.
that I didn't want to hit with the car. So they were walking very close. They didn't care about the car at all. I didn't want to hit them. I honked the car horn. I think he thought I was honking at him.
Right.
I don't know what he said.
He was saying something in Italian.
But it was not friendly.
No, it
I
wasn't.
got that. That is universal. You know, I did not need translation for that.
But I was so happy. I don't care that you got cussed out in Italian on the side of the
Okay.
road.
That is very true.
And then past that, when we got closer down, we did stop in Ravello because that is some gorgeous scenery, kind of high, still high up on the
Yes.
mountain, looking
Yeah.
down towards the coast and the water. We have
did,
some beautiful
yeah,
photos.
We took some beautiful photos, beautiful video there at Ravello. And to think about, again, once you get closer to the coast, there's so many people trying to get down there. Traffic starts backing up. Because, again, there's not a whole lot of places to park. There are also giant coach buses trying to take loads of people down here. How these coach buses navigate these very narrow mountain roads and then these little roads,
I don't know.
in these cities, I have no idea.
Some of those switchbacks, it narrowed down to one lane. So traffic would be stopped on the other side. But I don't know how those buses turned because we barely made it in our little car we were in. Yeah. It scared me at times. So it does start to slow down. At times, traffic completely stopped before we even got down to where Amalfi is. And it is literally a 2-lane road, 1 lane going each way. And you're just kind of at the mercy of the traffic once you're in it.
If you're going to take your own vehicle, I suggest a Vespa.
Yeah.
We saw so many people on little Vespas, motorbikes, things like that you can navigate easily in and out of traffic. And you can pretty much park those anywhere. Sidewalks, again, anything kind of goes. You can park them in a store. You can hook them to a seagull, park them off the side of a mountain.
Although we did rent those scooters, and I got yelled at by an Italian shopkeeper not to park it in front of his shop.
Do not park your scooters in front of their shops. Don't do that. But okay, so we finally make it to Amalfi. We drive through the city. It's beautiful. It is gorgeous.
People everywhere.
There are people everywhere. But we did get to stop and have probably the most beautiful lunch that you or I have ever had. What was the name of that place?
I cannot
caught
say
you off guard.
You did, but I can't say it anyway.
I think it is Kalahanara.
That sounds right.
Kalahanara restaurant. That's Kalajanara. That's a lot of A's.
It's a lot of A's.
Kalahanara restaurant, right outside of Amalfi.
Right. So it's actually past the city, the town of Amalfi.
I think it's
driving.
Conca de Marini.
Right.
Is the actual city.
That sounds correct. I don't know.
Sure.
At that point, we were starving. We were looking for a place to park. We knew we were too far to walk back into Amalfi. We weren't sure how far up the next town was. And when you're on this road, it just looks like this tiny little ceramic store.
Yeah.
But they had a little bit of parking, and there was a guy out there who, when we tried to park, said, "Are you coming in to shop or to eat?" And we're like, "Yes, whatever." At this point, we just want out of this car. So we go into the shop, which is the top floor, and then we realize there's a restaurant down below it. So we walk down to this restaurant, and we are literally sitting on the edge of a cliff.
Edge of the cliffs.
Looking out at the gorgeous ocean behind us.
Blue water as far as your eyes could see. Little ships, little yachts, and not little, big yachts, and some little ships just dotting the water and everything. I mean, we were just over the water. It is, I got all kinds of pictures and video. Again, check us out on TikTok or Instagram at Full Metal Traveler and see some of these pictures and video. Just when I say the most beautiful lunch, I am not joking.
And I wish we would have known about the grotto underneath it while we were there. We didn't find out until later, but there is actually a beautiful grotto below the restaurant that you can go down to, and the pictures just look phenomenal. Next time, we have to go back.
So much fun. I'm dreaming about it tonight.
I know.
You can too. We're talking about all kinds of places you could visit in Rome. Or in Italy, I should say. Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, the Full Metal Traveler. As always, my co-host and fellow traveler is my beautiful wife, Amy Long.
Hi.
You can check us out, fullmetaltraveler.com, for all of our past episodes, guest interviews, and all of that. We are chatting about different day trips you can take from Rome. If you go to Rome in Italy, we rented a car. We decided to hit places like Tivoli, Castel Gandalfo, which is just a few minutes outside of Rome. And then we drove to Amalfi, the Amalfi Coasts, had some adventures down there, and now we started our way back because we wanted to hit the largest archaeological site in the world, known as Pompeii.
Yes.
Now, Pompeii was one of the biggest natural disasters in recorded human history. Mount Vesuvius blew its top way back in the day, which I think was a Wednesday, and buried this town and its people in ash and volcano. Very horrible stuff, but now it's a very interesting archaeological site. And so we made our way from the Amalfi Coast. Same day, we made our way from the Amalfi Coast after this glorious lunch we went to. And you decided you were going to take over and drive.
I did. I felt
Look
bad
at
that
you.
you didn't get to really check out the scenery because you were white knuckling it through the mountains. So I thought, let's switch. So then
Terrible idea. by the
I
way.
drove
Yeah.
out of Amalfi over up a different road through the mountains. And then we ended up back in the city of Pompeii, which when you hear Pompeii, you think of the ruins part of it, but that's just one little area in a rather large city that is bustling. It's right there on the water. They have a huge harbor, like metropolitan type area.
Yeah.
And then you go a little bit to the east side of the city, and that is where the archaeological site is, and Mount Vesuvius sits right behind it.
Yeah, the crazy thing is now that Mount Vesuvius is a very active volcano. And they're saying it's actually overdue for an eruption. But the difference is now there's like 3 million people that live in this zone, including Naples and Pompeii and all these towns that have grown together, as towns do, but, that's, I guess, a different thing. But when we get to Pompeii, and why I like to recommend this is because it is a little mix of everything. It is kind of a haunted history. It's kind of not true crime, but it's very much something tragic happened there. It's very interesting to see. You can spend almost an entire day at Pompeii and not get to see everything.
Right. It was much bigger than I thought it was going to be.
It's huge.
I think they said it's 2 square miles of ruins.
And they're still uncovering things.
Yes, they were actively working in certain areas, so they have it barricaded off where they are digging up the ground.
You see I don't know what they're called. I guess archaeologists, or they have to work on that archaeology team, but they're actively clearing stuff away still, like when you're out there, and rebuilding and solidifying, different structures they found. But even behind different barricades, like you said, you can see what they've uncovered, the different, pieces of jewelry and different artifacts they've uncovered.
Yeah.
And then there's the haunting casts that they have made over the last, different archaeological digs of basically, very quickly, the eruption happened so quick, it buried people in the ash and everything. They died instantly, and they buried people. Well, the biodegradable parts of our bodies, bones and stuff like that, over time disappeared. And so when they were doing archaeological digs back in the 1800s, they started noticing these voids in the sand or in the ash and everything. And they started using plaster, and they figured out that these were actual resting places of bodies that were frozen in time, doing different things. Mothers clutching babies, people running for their lives, people that were sleeping that never even got a chance to wake up. And it's all kind of haunting. But they have some of these, I know they have a name for them.
I don't remember what they were
called. They actually called.
But these plaster molds basically were in plexiglass boxes, so you could kind of see where the body would have
these victims at Pompeii, where they were at the time of their death and everything. So it's kind of haunting. It's in the frescoes and things like that were painted and unearthed give us a view of what life was like in this town. And I think 79 AD, whenever this happened. And so there's like different parts where I think a local election was taking place. And so there's like vote for Giuseppe and vote for whatever in these frescoes.
Obviously, it's not in English.
Yeah, but it's like, it's Old Latin and
but
things.
they
that
have
nature.
plexiglass over a lot of the walls
Yeah.
that still have the painting on it. So you can look at it. They ask you not to do any flash photography. And they do have people walking around ensuring that you're not. But I was surprised by how much was still there in terms of
Yeah.
art. And some of the mosaics on the ground. We got some beautiful pictures of the floors in
tile
these
and stuff, yeah.
homes and some of the restaurants and things. Just the tile work at the entrances to these buildings. And then you would see all the stonework around some. It would look like restaurants like the counter, the stonework around the counters.
Yeah.
And you could even see in some of the places where the archaeologists had dug out artifacts, clay pots, things like that, and they just hadn't done anything with them yet. So they were just stacked in some of these rooms, and it's just roped off like, please don't go touch these clay pots we dug out of the ground.
Yeah, and I mean, it was really, really interesting if you love history or anything like that. We had a great time going and visiting these places. I wish we had more time to visit more, but I think this was kind of like that perfect amount. Really, I mean, again, like going back to what we said at the beginning of the show, we rented a car. Pros and cons, you got freedom of movement. Cons where it's insanity driving, but also with the lack of parking, that eats up a lot of your time to go see things.
Right.
I highly recommend, and this is my own personal thing, but I highly recommend if you're going to go do it, if you go to Italy, take part in the train system.
Yeah.
The drawback on that is that you have to really pay attention because at any time there could be strikes between, the workers, city workers and the country and all of that. It slows things down and you're kind of at those mercies. But I think given the other...
I feel like there was some undue stress because of the driving and looking for parking.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And it didn't put a shadow over our trip, but we could have spent that time doing other things or just enjoying the drive and the scenery as opposed to figuring out the highways.
A train ride, you would get to see the scenery and just relax. As long as you make the train on time, which they have it's kind of like most countries. They have a very simple, once you figure it out, it's very simple. It's just getting to the right place at the right time and everything. But you are at that kind of mercy. We didn't really get to spend a whole lot of time in Naples.
No, we just
so
drove
when we go
through
back,
very quickly.
But we also, one of the better parts of having your own vehicle is that all the other little towns that we kind of get to see and experience that the trains don't follow along the way. We even got to stop on the side of the road and like their style, Italian style of convenience stores,
right?
Which is a little bit different than ours, but kind of the same. It's one of those things.
It had a bakery in it, and so we saw
Like a
all
fresh
these people.
bakery, yeah.
Yes, all these people were standing there, and these bakers were there in their paper hats and aprons, and we had to ask how it works because you have to go pay for what you want first and then bring your receipt back. But obviously, I couldn't say what I wanted in Italian, so I took pictures of it and took it to the
Which
checkout.
was very smart.
And so we got these amazing croissant type pastries with one had like an Italian cream in it and the other one had a jelly in it. They were so good, so flaky. We had croissant flakes all over us in the inside of the car.
I think the rental car people charged me for that. We had so many flakes, just croissant flakes just everywhere.
But they were wonderful. And there was a couple of euro a piece. So
yeah, that's the
and
best
that
part.
was something too about Italy. There were some places where the food was extremely cheap, and then there were other places where it was very expensive. So you kind of couldn't really gauge until you walked in and saw the menu how much you were about to be spending.
Plan ahead. We've listed off a number of places. We hope you'll check them out if you go. Some of these restaurants are aimed at tourists. Others are very local. Go check out the local places.
Yeah.
Not that the tourist places don't deserve your money, but
It
shop
was
local.
It was
anywhere
all good.
you go.
Yeah.
Do the very best you can. And once you know that you are going to Italy, plan ahead. Get your tickets early for any of the popular things. That's a whole different show right there in itself.
Right.
But if you want to go to the Coliseum and things like that, buy your tickets early.
Yeah.
And always, always, always get the skip the line pass.
Yeah.
Get the skip the line pass.
And bring an umbrella.
Bring
It
an
did
umbrella.
not rain on us in Italy, but the sun was
This
bearing
is
down on us.
Unscaled. We'll see you next time, folks.